In last week's episode, you heard from Katherine Bennell-Pegg, the first person to be trained as an astronaut under the Australian flag. In this episode, you'll learn that it's not only astronauts and rocket scientists that work in the space industry. Space employs people from a wide range of fields such as trades, media, engineering, science, project management, arts and law, just to name a few. There are many different employment opportunities in space, and today we'll talk to you about these opportunities and what you can do to be a part of Australia's space industry. Welcome to Episode 6, Opportunities in Space.
Thanks for tuning in to our series with the Australian Space Agency, and welcome to Episode 6, Opportunities in Space. We had a deadly chat with Katherine Bennell-Pegg last week and heard all about her experience training to become an astronaut. This week, we're going to talk about some of the other opportunities in the space sector and show you that space needs all types of people, not just astronauts. In Australia, there are over 600 organisations working in the space industry, and space businesses are run just like any other business. Businesses working in space rely on many types of support staff to do their jobs properly. They need people who can find and hire the best people for the team, reception staff to welcome visitors and direct phone calls, administration and research staff to file and manage paperwork, write reports and do research, and many more. Businesses in the space sector also need content created for social media or websites, and they employ communications and marketing professionals to develop content that promotes their organisation and services. There are different pathways to working in the business. You could go to uni or TAFE. TAFE offers courses which help you build skills for business support roles, and if you have experience in areas like this, you could have the skills they are looking for. As we heard earlier, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to work in space, although rocket scientists are still an essential part of the space industry. Organisations also rely heavily on tradespeople or space tradies to help produce and build their space objects. If you think about the job fabricators do, for example, they make things with tools and their hands and they fit, assemble and weld metal parts, structures and equipment with a high level of skill and accuracy. In the space industry, fabricators make parts and structures for spacecraft, satellites, ground stations, spaceports, and even rockets. Electricians and electrical technicians are also important to the space industry. Many satellite and spacecraft components need electricity to operate. Electricians and electrical technicians work with engineers to make sure spacecraft get the power they need to launch into space and explore the wonders of the universe. Electricians construct, install, test and repair electrical systems, equipment and components. Space tradies are really needed in the space industry, and if you want to be an electrician or fabricator, you will need to complete an apprenticeship, which again shows that you don't need a university degree to work in the space industry. If you are good at working with computers, then there are also ways to become involved in space. The space sector needs computer designers at different stages of a project to create ideas and designs for the structures, machines, vehicles, and industrial systems. Cybersecurity specialists also help the space industry by protecting computer networks and systems. This is important work in the digital age, especially in the space industry, to ensure that the transfer of information between satellites and ground stations is done securely. Another exciting area with lots of opportunities is robotics. Robotics play a big part in the space sector, as it needs robotics engineers to build, install, operate, test and maintain robots, robotic components, devices and systems. Australia has a strong robotics industry, and there are plenty of opportunities for First Nations people too. In fact, in 2013, students from the Diploma Barker College in East Arnhem Land travelled all the way to the United States to compete in World Robotics Championships, after finishing 4th in Australia's national competition. A perfect example that demonstrates the ability for our mob to develop skills critical to the space industry. These are just a few examples which show the variety of opportunities available to everyone and the different pathways that you can take to get into the space industry, which doesn't have to involve a university degree. To learn more, we spoke to Belle from the Australian Space Agency. You're tuned into Tiba Radio, your voice in the bush, and on the line we have a very special guest. We have Belle, who works as a space communicator in the Australian Space Discovery Centre. Thanks for joining us, Belle. Could you tell us a little bit about who you are and your journey?
All right. Hello, everyone. To begin with, I'll just want to recognise that I do meet with you today, speak to you today from the lands of the Kaurna people. I'm a very proud cook of the Warringah Kaurna woman, and I have landed myself in the Australian space industry. I never thought that would be something that would happen for me. I've worked in community outreach, support, even radio broadcasting, program development and advocacy, and here I am as a space communicator working here at the ASDC.
What are some of the different opportunities to work in the space sector beyond being an astronaut and, of course, a rocket scientist?
Oh, look, there are heaps. If you think of something that you like, this is what I like to tell people. What is it that you like? And then put space in front of it and you can do it. I have heaps of people who come into the agency and say, you know, I like sport. I'm not into STEM and science. And it's like, well, did you know that astronauts need personal trainers? Do you know that they need nutritionalists to be able to tell them what foods are good for their bodies and not while being in space flight? When it comes to, well, I've worked in management, say. Well, there are people who have to run the business. There's a business side of every organisation. People who are assistants to directors, people who do direct, and a whole gamut of things. Pharmaceuticals, we're starting to develop more chemical components in space as it helps to open the doorways for people when it comes to their medication and things like that. Also, you know, talking to people, writing books. Are you a creative? Do you like to write stories? You know, us Aboriginal people have been telling our stories for tens of thousands of years, using the stars, Aboriginal people being the world's oldest astronomers, you know, and we love our art. Well, the books that we have in our centre, they help to inspire people, and those people work in the space industry. There's a whole range of things that you can do. All you have to do is work out what it is you like, and we can help you connect that gap so that you can live your dream out in the space industry.
So what are some of the more unusual jobs in space that you've heard of?
You know, it's even your janitor, your cleaner. That's in the space industry. They're working in the space industry to make it that everyone else can do that job. So you've got cleaners, insurance, space companies need special insurance because some insurance companies say, no, we don't want to cover anyone who's heading to space. So there's actually space insurance.
That's very different, isn't it?
Look, something that's interesting is how much we actually use space in our everyday life. Regardless of the lives that we have, we use space to herd our cattle. There are people who are quadriplegics or paraplegics. They can't do the farming like they used to because they might have an injury, and they can use space technology to herd their cattle. Now, that's amazing. That's called an e-shepherd. It's my favourite thing in the whole centre. You've also got people who use space technology for their walking canes. So people who are blind, they need a walking cane. That's something that uses space industry. When you're talking about your phones, this interview right now is using space so that we can have this chat. You know, there's so many things out there. Our banking, our communication, medicines, our CT scans and MRIs. When we go to have our testing and our x-rays, that is space technology. The very first laptop was developed by NASA and it cost $34,000 to make. $34,000 to have one back in the day. And now we're sitting here, I'm sitting on my laptop. You know, people have their laptops, and that's space technology. Our headphones, cordless headphones, space technology. The little mouse that you have to move around for your laptop, again, space technology. It is all around us. So if you can think it, if you can imagine it, if you can dream it, write it down, do a drawing. Connect to somebody and say, how do I make this happen? Because it's happening all around us all the time. And it's something that your listeners and all you out there, it's something that you can be a part of too. If that's your dream, let's make that dream come true.
What is one of the biggest barriers to working in the sector? Is it lacking of belief that we are capable of doing it, or do you agree with this?
No, of course I don't agree with it. I think we're able to do anything. We've been in this country for over 60,000 years, and our connection to the land, sea and skies, that's not just words. That's not just words. That's truth. Yeah. And we've been able to learn and keep our stories and teach through the stars and our connection. So if we want to do things, sometimes I think, nah, that's not a place that I'm allowed to be. Or we might think, nah, I've been told that I need to be like this to be able to do that. But all you need to do is be you, because that's what's so amazing. If we're all the same, if we are all the same, how are we supposed to come up with new ideas? If we're the same people, studying the same thing, going to the same schools, we're going to come up with the same ideas.
That's
but we
exactly
want to come
right.
up with big, right? We want to come up with bigger ideas. We want to be able to go to Mars. So if we want to be able to really head into our solar system and really go above and beyond, then we need all the different people with all the different thoughts to know that they're allowed and to come forward. And you know, at the Australian Space Agency, they've got a inclusivity and diversity policy. Right? And what that means is that if you want to do it and you're not sure how, that they can help you navigate that. They can help you find your way, because they want to hear from you. They want to be able to work with you. They want you to share your ideas, and they're putting their words into actions and saying, come on in. Come on in, let's work together and let's make all of our space dreams come true, whatever it looks like.
You're tuned in to TIBA Radio, and of course on the line we have Belle, who works as the space communicator for the Australian Space Discovery Centre. Thank you very much, Belle, for taking the time to chat with myself, and of course spread your wisdom to all of the people out there on the TIBA network here in the Northern Territory. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much for having me, and to infinity and beyond, they say, right?
Yeah, thank you very much. In this episode, you've heard about the different types of opportunities in the space industry, and that the pathway for these opportunities can be through trades, media, engineering, science, project management, arts, and law. You've also heard about the different pathways into the space industry that are available to you, including apprenticeships, TAFE courses, university degrees, and other vocational education and training programs. The Australian Space Agency has a range of material available on their website to help you find your pathway to working in space. If you'd like to find out more, visit space.gov.au. In next week's episode, we're going to hear from First Nations people that are already involved in space, so that you can hear about their experiences and what their journey has been like. So, until next time, thanks for tuning in.